Yep, it's Easter. I can understand the symbolism of Easter or this season around the time of the equinox. I understand the idea of rebirth, that nature is waking up from winter and new life is appearing, flowers are blossoming. It's all wonderful. And I can understand the way that the church has sort of piggybacked on that by linking the resurrection of Jesus with all that coming of new life. Eggs and bunnies and all that, fertility. Yep, I understand all of that. And I understand fully the need that human beings have to celebrate occasions, to use the natural world around them in a symbolic way, or to interpret it in a symbolic way, to apply what's happening in the world around them to their own lives, to their own inner lives. I understand that. That's all fine. The only trouble is that down here in upside down land, which, according to some flat earthers anyway, doesn't even exist, is down here in upside down land, none of this works. We're not just coming out of winter and entering spring and a time of new life. We're coming out of summer and entering a time of dying, of decreasing, of winter, of cold, of shorter days, not longer days. It's all reversed here. So none of the symbolism really works. If we were going to hold an equivalent ceremony, it would have to be sometime around the 21st of September, which would be the equivalent of our Easter, which is our spring equinox. Here, of course, the 21st of March is the vernal equinox, the autumn equinox, and everything's reversed, just as everything here is upside down. Yet we cling to these northern European traditions. We don't have anything to replace them. But I don't feel that we ever really connect with them. The same is obviously true at Christmas time, when we continue to carry all that Northern Hemisphere imagery of snow and holly and jolly men in red suits, all of that stuff. None of it really applies here. And in fact, it often, particularly at Christmas time, it feels really inappropriate. Of course, the other thing that feels inappropriate in Australia is the use of the Easter bunny as a symbol of fertility. In Australia, fluffy bunnies are a damn pest, and we would do anything we could to completely eradicate them from the continent. So they're not exactly a welcome symbol of fertility, they're a curse of fertility. So it's all just wrong, it just doesn't work. These traditions take a long time to develop, and they grow a whole number of accretions along the way. The pagan festivals of the equinox have grown the accretion of Easter. It takes a long time for them to grow and develop, and it takes a long time for them to go away, if they ever do. And certainly it takes a long time for them to be replaced with something else. It's highly unlikely that we'll ever have an actual Christmas in July, although some people do try to celebrate a Christmas in July here. And it's highly unlikely that we'll have any kind of Easter in September. It would just put us out of step with the rest of the world, of course, and the commercial world couldn't cope with that. So in the end, we lose touch with these elements, which may indeed have a certain positive element to them. I can appreciate, as I said, the symbolism of the changing of the seasons, of winter turning into spring and the promise of new life. I can see all that. And the circle of life and all of that, it's a nice symbolism. But because Easter here is set at a ridiculous time, it's actually when winter is beginning, it loses its connection with that. So we begin to lose the symbolism as well. And we have nothing to replace it with. So basically, Easter here just becomes time to have a few days off, a time to get away for a long weekend, a time to indulge in chocolate and maybe Sunday barbecues. And really it means nothing more than that. No matter how hard the churches might try to push the issue, it just doesn't work here. It probably doesn't work even in the Northern Hemisphere these days, to be honest. But it most certainly does not work here. We're not at a time of new life and new beginnings. It's certainly not in terms of the seasons. We're at a time of endings. So I do feel some sorrow at the disconnect between our inner lives and the world around us, that we lose those connections. I can't see us ever replacing them, not only because we're here down under, But because we don't live in the natural world anymore, we build the world around us to suit us, and we're not in touch with nature. We're not in touch with those natural processes. So we're unlikely to develop new traditions, and we're only likely to drift further away from them. It's not the end of the world, but it would be nice to find some way to reattach ourselves to the rhythms of the natural world and to celebrate those as a reflection of something that may go on within us.